why Kemi Badenoch wouldn't ban Tommy Robinson's march like she would ban pro-Palestinian ones.
Is he creating a climate of intimidation and violence?
Some people did look at that march and feel intimidated.
Who?
I don't want to see that. There were
Who did?
concerns at that time.
Right. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You haven't been able to say who that was targeted against.
Who could have possibly felt targeted at Tommy Robinson's march?
What would happen if you become a prime minister tomorrow? What would you change?
I would stop Islam. I'd end foreign funding in this country. All the migrants would be taken out of the hotels and sent back tomorrow by the military.
This weekend saw a London rally to unite the kingdom. At least that's what it says on the tin. Ignoring the irony, Robinson pledges to stop foreign funding at a rally largely bankrolled by foreign billionaires.
Whether you choose violence or not, violence is coming to you. You either fight back or you die.
Pledging to stop Islam is unambiguously Islamophobic.
It's not too late to get Islam out of that building! It is not too late to get Islam out of every single official office in this country!
Imagine if someone called to get all Jews out of Parliament, or pledged to stop Christianity. One hopes that would be recognised as the racism that it is. That speech calls for an ethno-nationalist order, in which rights and access to public life are allocated according to religion and race. Racist abuse was exposed by police after they arrested 20 people linked to Robinson's march. Warning here, offensive language.
Go back to your home, mate. You're a pussy, bro. And I'm at that, still.
And yet, while Muslims are the most targeted religious group for hate crime in England and Wales, white women staging a niqab striptease is not actually illegal, nor is performing the cello with bacon on your shoulder illegal or funny or clever. But let's be clear, it is definitely not a call for unity. Like this was not a rally to unite the kingdom. This was a rally to hate on Muslims. Why is it so hard for politicians and journalists to name this particular shade of hate? If we refuse to prosecute Islamophobia, we should at least call it what it is. Today, for our Spotlight section, we speak to MEE columnist Joe Gill. Joe, welcome to MEELive. What are your thoughts? Should the statements and spectacles that we've just seen, should they be legally permitted? Is it about free speech or hate speech? Where's the line?
Well, thanks for having me on. I mean, as you just described, what we are seeing, what we saw on Unite the Kingdom, the misnamed rally of Tommy Robinson, was hate speech, and that grotesque theatre of the niqab stripping. And yes, we have seen some condemnation from Prime Minister Keir Starmer and David Lammy, but there is no action as yet against this, despite Muslim organisation and others calling it out and saying we need to see action. And obviously behind that, we've had the normalisation of Islamophobia and hate speech that's been going on in the UK for years. And it's obviously been endorsed and supported by major newspapers, GB News, and so on. So this is becoming a sort of, allowed, accepted form of racism now.
Yeah, what was interesting about these rallies was this weekend was the first time organisers were made legally responsible for ensuring that their speakers didn't commit hate speech. Now, that includes the speech we just saw by Kelly J. Keane Minshall, or Posy Parker is the name she goes by, calling to get Islam out of Parliament and out of every room of authority. Yeah, so the fact that no legal action has been taken implies that this is not hate speech in the eyes of the British state. Starmer and Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy, as you pointed out, they have accused Tommy Robinson of spreading hate and division, but that's not the same as legal condemnation. What about the media coverage? Actually, the media response to these events has been, some critics say, pretty lukewarm. Do you have any view on how the media has characterised this rally that happened on the weekend?
Well, I was looking at a Spectator article, and I think, you might expect from the Spectator, which is a right-wing conservative magazine, that they see the sort of Unite the Kingdom as a sort of jolly get-together for people who are patriotic, and there's no harm meant. But of course, this is a complete sort of misdescription of what we're seeing, and of course they always contrast it with the other big event of the day, which was the Nakba Day commemoration of 78 years of dispossession of the Palestinians, which actually, eclipsed in terms of size what we saw in Trafalgar Square in Whitehall with the Robinson far-right rally. In numbers terms, far, far bigger, very peaceful. I was on it myself, and there were a handful of arrests, but of course the police now have these extra powers, which they generally are using to sort of control, censor, repress free speech on the pro-Palestine side, and you can be arrested for holding up a word, intifada, if you use that word. I believe there was a guy who was arrested for simply wearing he was dressed up as death, a sort of theatrical outfit, and he was wearing a skull, and off he was just dragged away by the police. So there's a sort of double standard in terms of policing.
It's an interesting point about numbers. I can't find from a quick search the confirmed final numbers of each rally, but Tommy Robinson did say we are here in the millions, and it was tens of thousands, definitely, and not more than that. You did see, although you were yourself present at the Nakba march, you did see, walking around the area, the Unite the Kingdom march. You were there. Can you just tell us a little bit about what your observation was of the rally yourself?
Yeah, well, I mean, we were separated from the Unite the Kingdom rally because the police, they had to put on this huge operation, having decided to allow Robinson and all his guys, his people, to come out on the very same day as a pro-Palestine rally that was sort of in planning for months ahead, because it happens every year. And they decided to put the two of us together, but obviously then they had to spend millions on policing to keep us separate. So the only encounters I had with the people who went to that Robinson rally was really on the way out, down at the station of Victoria, and there was definitely tension. There's no question between people, on different sides, and I would say there was possibly some intimidation going on from people on that rally towards some of those people who were visibly holding Palestinian flags. And so on. Although, of course, Robinson now claims that he's told everyone that he doesn't want any violence. But he's also saying, be military, be fighting fit.
Yeah, no, that point is quite interesting. At the last rally in, I think it was September, the last United Kingdom rally, Elon Musk, we played a clip just a moment ago, Elon Musk appeared in a live stream and he said to the people gathered at Robinson's rally, fight or be killed. The violence is coming to you, don't have a choice. This was, without much of a leap, pretty widely interpreted as a direct incitement to violence. Although, again, there was no prosecution over incitement to violence for the organisers at that event. But you point out a clear sort of attempt by Robinson to step away from that. With this rally, you told me, Joe, that Robinson called police allies. He called on people to act lawfully, avoid drunken behaviour. When I heard you say that, I thought, well, this sort of makes sense. This fits into a rebranding we've seen consciously taken by Tommy Robinson, whose real name is, of course, actually Stephen Yaxley Lennon, who was a football hooligan, convicted fraudster, and is now rebranding himself as a legitimate citizen journalist and a viable political candidate. Do you think that that's part of that strategy? What do you think the sort of long-term strategy here is?
He's pretty explicit about it. You can see in his speech that he made to the rally that he's telling people to go out, become political activists, join political parties. He doesn't even mind which one. It's going to be on the right, I suppose. He says conservatives, restore, reform. He doesn't mind, because I think what he's looking at is the goal is to take power in 2029 in some form of alliance, be it formal, informal, that there will somehow be a point. The reform have just swept the local elections, and these forces are looking at winning power in the UK, and so having police allow them to march and soft pedaling on hate speech. This is all helps, even if there is no actual formal alliance between Robinson and Nigel Farage, because so far Farage does not want that to happen, and they are not together.
In a way, actually, Robinson allows Farage to frame himself as quite establishment acceptable, while being, the anti-establishment politician. By comparison to Robinson, he can present himself as, not in the extreme fringes and perhaps more legitimate by comparison. Okay, Joe, just quickly, closing message. As a columnist in whose territory this falls, what's your sort of your key take on the rallies this weekend?
I think it was a triumph in terms of the pro-Palestine rally, because what we're seeing there is a coming together of people to resist racism, to resist the rise of the far right, and that is uniting with the movement to liberate, but to end the Gaza genocide and occupation. So I think things are building together really strongly on that side, but obviously there's a huge challenge, a huge threat that the right could unite, and you saw that with Kemi Badenoch's appeasing statement about unite the kingdom.
Joe Gill, thank you for your time.